Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and may I first of all associate myself very strongly with your kind remarks about Peter Hipkins and his service to this House. I should also say that we join with all colleagues, I'm sure, in celebration of International Women's Day this Saturday, but I am sure the whole House will also share my deep concern at the latest news in relation to Ukraine, and will wish to send all of our best wishes to the Prime Minister and other European leaders in doing everything they can to support that country. Mr. Speaker, it's now 3 months or so since I became Shadow Leader, and I'm sad to say that these joyous Thursday morning sessions seem to have fallen into a little bit of a rut. No, no, I hear you cry. Business Questions is still as fresh and lively and engaging as it ever was, if not more so, but sadly I fear that is not true. It is our function on this side of the House, of course, to press public concerns and raise questions about the government. Indeed, as His Majesty's loyal opposition, it is not only our function, but our constitutional duty to do so. On the other side, it is, of course, the government's job to respond to these questions and concerns, and in so doing to make the case publicly for the policy choices and decisions that it has made, and, if it has a strategy, for its underlying strategy. But unfortunately, as you will have noticed, Mr. Speaker, the government is not doing that in our sessions. In fact, the Leader of the House rarely, if ever, responds to the important public questions and concerns that I raise. Instead, I'm sorry to say, we get the same endlessly reheated mishmash of standard party political lines, personal jibes, and irrelevant comments. You will recall that I raised this issue first at Business Questions on December the 4th, and I highlighted a series of occasions on which the Leader had been unwilling to answer or even to address some obvious examples of government economic incompetence. As I pointed out, many different responses were open to her. She could have said, "I agree," or "the Shadow Leader's wrong for the following reasons," or even "I don't know." If she did not want to respond at that particular time, she could have said, as so many other ministers do, "I will look into it, I will reply to you, I will ask a colleague to investigate and respond." We just saw the Cabinet, head of the Cabinet Office saying, the Chancellor of Judge of Lancaster say just those things. But in fact, on none of these occasions did she bother to give any kind of proper answer at all. Instead, her approach was to change the subject and attack the previous government rather than defend the record of her own government, which is, after all, the whole point of these exchanges. What is more troubling still is that she herself has so often called for transparency from ministers, and that a failure to be accountable is itself a breach of the rules of this House, of the Nolan Principles, and of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. Mr. Speaker, I wish I could report that anything had changed since December. If anything, however, I'm afraid matters have got worse. A recent low point was Business Questions on the 13th of February, when I raised 5 important issues relating to the government's approach to the rule of law, including the potential clash between domestic and international law, the level of risk the government was seeking to take, and its attitude towards judicial review. I'm sorry to say that the Leader did not respond, or did not bother to respond, even, to any of these questions. Instead, we had yet another series of irrelevant political attacks. Mr. Speaker, we need a better way to track and monitor these evasions. So, in a spirit of openness and transparency, I would like to propose a new approach, which we can call Leaders Bingo. Colleagues get a point every time the Leader blames the previous government, attacks members of the opposition, changes the subject, or uses the words "gently remind," "take no lectures," or similar in her response. I would not for 1 second suggest that colleagues shout bingo in the chamber, but there may be other ways in which they can indicate when they have filled their card. Mr. Speaker, this is a light-hearted suggestion, but it has a serious purpose. I know how strongly you feel about the importance of parliamentary accountability, transparency, and the proper scrutiny of government decisions. So I would ask the Leader of the House again if she will reaffirm her commitment to these values and engage properly in future with the questions I have been asking.
Leader.